conversation as we go on.
I had done a podcast with an adult ADHD podcast in Philly back like 3 weeks ago, and I didn't know it was going live last week, and then it went viral. So that was like a whole, yeah.
You guys heard it here first because now we are live. So
I was
unlike yours, like you're live now. That other one you said you probably pre-recorded.
That was pre-recorded.
Possibly post-production edited.
You know what?
Or
sometimes I finally went back and watched it almost a week after it came out, and I was like, I wish they had cut out like that like more so.
You can't do that here. Everything is going out into the world right now.
Well, you know what the kicker is? Like, I actually asked her. I said, "Look, I have a tendency to have a vibrant personality, and like sometimes language may or may come out." She's like, "Let her rip." So then, of course, the clickbait reels that went out were like ones with me like dropping F-bombs. My parents were like, "Did you actually just do that?" I was like, "Yeah, I did."
That's what we do here.
This is what I do.
And that's what I do. And that's how Steve introduced. But by the way, if you guys want to know why she's able to communicate exactly how she is and everything like that, it's because I am currently sitting right now with Dr. Jessica McCarthy, who owns Elements Psychological Services. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
That was as professional as it gets.
That's
I had to like introduce you because we've been on camera for like a minute or something like that, and nobody knows who I'm talking to, or one person who's watching this right now. But we're gonna blast this out to the world. We're getting there. So
actually, I will say, just talking to a couple of like people in the area, including my publicist, your podcast is getting traction in the community. And it is becoming like the thing that people do want to get on. So you're doing good work.
Stop it. Keep talking.
In all seriousness, you are doing good work. And I think as much as, people might want to get on like the big podcasts, I get the clicks and whatnot. People who live in the community want to know what the community resources are from a trusted individual. I mean, you get Mayor Gasali on, like there's street cred right there, to be honest. Cred. But in all seriousness, as a parent, we go on Facebook groups because who do I go? What do I see? When you can put the right people on and have the conversations, and people like me and other practice and business owners in the community can educate people about who we are, what we do. Like, you're really, really doing amazing work. And I think you called it like these hyper local productions, I think can have more power to the community than the bigger things. So
now you're interviewing me because that's exactly what
ask the questions.
The local BizCast was specifically for that. This is the local stuff. And it's not even just, yes, I want to promote our local businesses here. And that was huge. But I also want to know what your journey was and how you got to this, something like that. But yes, my intention, if you guys want to know, and if you want to steal it, be my guest, because I'm out here giving it to the world. But my intention is to put a local BizCast in every local town, community, county in the country, maybe not the world. Like, why can't we set this thing up and put a podcast somewhere?
We want to open a practice in like the Morris County area in 2025. So like, put it in Morris County, and we'll help.
There we go.
Going too.
Right?
Absolutely.
Oh my God. So. Anyway, but we have to talk about you. We have to find out what you're doing, because you're doing incredible work. I met you through our good friend, Dr. Steve Giannopoulos.
Dr. Steve, yes.
Dr. Stevie G, Mr. Infamous, famous not TikTok, but Instagram influencer.
Yeah, he took off. Speaking
Thank you, buddy.
Taking off, and he is doing incredible work. And I think, here's my plug for kind of the functional medicine world, when I know there's a lot of haters. What I do love about Dr. Steve's work is that he knows the research, and he's putting good quality information out there that's digestible and understandable, and synthesizing important studies and helping me as a psychologist do the work of like, hey, are you paying attention to what you're eating and how you're moving your body and how you're sleeping? Because that is the foundation of all the other things that we as psychologists do, but also just the foundation of physical and mental health. So that was kind of, his office was down.
First off,
that's how we met.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't even know there was haters for functional medicine. And number two, you kind of teased into what we're going to talk about next, and especially with what you're drinking over there and stuff like that, because just we're going to come back to it. If anybody wants to remind me, lift heavy, I want to talk about that.
We will get into that. Absolutely.
But I had no idea there's haters. I always say, like, I guess everybody can say what some people think is good work.
Yes.
Other people think is crazy, kooky, or this, that, the other thing.
Correct.
But like when we talked about healthcare, and I'm not veering this over here, but I have to get it out now because you just opened it up. So you talk about healthcare. Can anybody deny eating healthier, sleeping healthier, drinking more water, exercising. Can anybody deny that at all as being a better approach than to eating McDonald's and cheeseburgers,
Absolutely
taking
not.
Lipitor and blood pressure
But
medication?
okay, you just hit the nail on the head though. The problem is that the way that our Western medicine, the Western world is set up, is that we are focused on intervention and not prevention. That's huge. And I talk so much about that even in my work because, if you don't have a strong physical health foundation and the mental health foundation ties in that, then no matter what I do for you, no matter what behavioral intervention, no matter what other services we might recommend, if you are not sleeping, then if you're not eating, I just had a patient in the office earlier today, and we were having a conversation about a family member and how the behavior of said family member is off. And I said, well, let's take a step back here. What's going on? And
by the way, she's never done this before. Look how good she is at this.
Never. And we
Sorry, Sony. She may be my new co-host. She's on point. All right, back to the
anyway, and this family member's sleep has been off for the last couple of weeks because they're so busy. And I said, look, I'm not waving a magic wand and like fixing sleeping and fixing eating. And we're not going to cure, some of these conditions that might be biologically based, genetically based. I'm not transforming your DNA, but like, by God, let's focus on the things that we can fix. That we can fix. And the other thing is too, I think, again, we're focused on intervention and not prevention, number one. Number two, I think social media has been such a blessing and a curse for how we get information out, because for every person like you, Dr. Steve, that's putting good information out there, there are also so many others that are putting garbage out, number one. And number two,
but do those people think that they're putting good stuff out, or they know that they're putting garbage out? They're just trying to get views and clicks.
And they're trying to make money off it.
Yeah, clickbait and everything like that. Yeah.
And also, I mean, and you and I were even talking about this before, right? When I first got here, as far as barriers to kind of implementing different dietary changes. Like there are certain diets, whether it's carnivore or just eating more protein, what I would love to do, but sometimes it's really, really difficult. And I have more resources than other people that I might be able to buy the better food and do them. So it's the bigger picture is that I think, these types of conversations on a smaller and a larger scale can really push our focus of preventative medicine, which I like to think about that. I think the word functional medicine for people does still feel a little.
There's a stigma.
That's why I'm like, how can we focus on getting you to a better, better place from an overall health standpoint, and then focus on other tailored treatments to actually address the problems that you're having.
You're 100% right. And it's funny because Steve, Chris, and I, a couple of friends, have the Three Guys Coffee podcast. And we talk about the fact that, not that I'm trying to tout my profession as a chiropractic physician, but we learned this from 1895. That was always about prevention and trying to make your body function in its peak and optimal performance by removing interference and stuff like that. And here we are, preventative it's like kind of been bastardized or changed around or anything like that. But, I'm going to give credit to my wife, who you just met, Dr. Kelly, the Functional Medicine Centers of New Jersey, plug. But they have this 6 kind of thing program. I don't know, a 6-pillar program. And, it is sleep, and it is diet, of course, and it is mind, and it is community. Is one of these things. And you were just talking about all that kind of stuff and barriers and everything like that. So, I mean, you're like preventative medicine. I feel like we have to come up with another new word for what we could do, because I feel like even that.
I don't know if we're going to do that in this podcast.
We have 22 minutes left, and I want to start getting people to, start commenting. I don't even know how to do that though. I'm a rookie. I hope I qualified, a complete rookie at this. And so
your studio is beautiful.
This is great.
I wouldn't know. This looks good to me.
This is pretty cool,
this
right?
Is awesome.
This is going to motivate somebody to do something like this. And
I hope so.
And by the way, anybody want to come and use the studio? We rent this out. It's all yours if you want. Because I've seen your content, and your content is amazing. Look at you, like you're blowing up.
And this is a lot of so my practice, Element Psychological Services, we've been in Montvale, right across from Sloan Kettering, and I always tell people down the street from Wegmans since July of 2020. So we opened it during COVID, which is wild. I had worked previously at a couple other private practices, and I really got my start as a neuropsychologist working at Kessler Institute for Rehabilitation in West Orange and in Saddlebrook on the brain injury and stroke floors. And I loved that work. But as a parent, hospital-based work is really, really hard because you think you're walking out the door at one time and then you're not.
Yep.
And you're in the hospital 5 days a week. And I miss the pace. I miss acute care. I really, really do. But private practice just gave me a little bit more flexibility to be with my family, especially with some of the changes that have occurred over the decade. I got divorced. No one thinks that's going to happen, but life happens. So I can flow much more with my children's schedule. But a lot of what we do is we provide assessment and therapy. So therapy is, what people traditionally think about with psychotherapy. We have therapeutic services for children through adult. We treat almost everything: anxiety, depression. We do executive function services for people with ADHD. So teaching people all of the skills that people with ADHD diagnoses, ADHDers really need extra support.
And no matter what level of the spectrum.
No matter what level.
Okay.
And we have an amazing play therapist. She's a registered, actually, she's almost within the next 2 weeks, she's going to finish all of her hours.
You can count that in hours. You don't even have to count that in weeks or days anymore. It's
there you go. I'm literally counting her hours.
I don't know that math, but it's 714 more hours or something like that.
It is. The thing is, when you do a lot of work with children, all of us are kind of play informed. Even when I work with teenagers, my kids come in and play Uno. That's a play strategy.
I want to play.
Why
can't I play?
Oh my gosh. I don't have any mercy on these kids. I'm you have really bad anxiety. Well,
you lose.
Draw 4, bitch.
Let's go. Skip. Reverse. You lose.
Like I said, our play therapist actually is trained, or almost registered play therapist. It's actually trained in using, she combines cognitive behavioral and play-based interventions with kids. So we do.
Is that code word for letting them win?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's actually right. No, she wouldn't either.
I think we just lost patience, but it's okay as long as we're entertaining.
And then the big focus on what we do is we provide assessment services for children, teens, and adults who have suspected ADHD, autism, dyslexia, behavioral issues, other learning issues. And a huge part of what we do is we really provide a comprehensive roadmap for people that may need additional supports in the school-based setting, in the home-based setting, in the work setting. If they need accommodations for the SATs, the GREs, any standardized tests, I always tell people November 30th, or actually the early part of November, we get a ton of calls from lawyers who need to take the bar exam, because November 30th is the deadline to turn in paperwork for the February exam for the bar. So there's a lot that these assessments can do above and beyond just quickie little you have this diagnosis. It really tells you the flavor of your diagnosis, what your strengths are. It's not just the problem. It's what's going well in your world, and how can we use those strengths to give you additional supports and recommendations to maximize performance in other settings as well.
You're amazing at this, by the way.
I love what I do.
You're amazing. And that's, it's going to show through at the camera. So I absolutely love the passion is absolutely amazing.
Well,
this
team
hits
has
home.
that passion too. It's not just me. We have amazing people that we work with who are just as, educated, honestly, if not more than I am. So it's,
How big is the practice now?
The practice. So it's myself, our amazing office manager, Jackie, who's literally the frontal lobe of my brain. She will be the first person that you talk to if you email or call.
Jackie, she got you on the podcast. She got you on.
Poor Jackie. Jackie likes to maintain a low profile. And I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Because she really is that wonderful. And then we have 2 other psychologists, and Tara, who's our registered play therapist. She is
almost registered. She's 714 hours away. Yeah.
She's about to get her LPC, which is like a granddaddy counselor.
Mm-hmm.
What's it called, designation, and then the play therapist. So, and we might be adding some more in the future too as we grow. So
amazing. And you just told me Morristown 2025 too.
Morristown, Chatham area, because I live in Morris County right now, and there's even a greater need for what we do down there. So we're looking to get down there. And like I said, I used to live in Bergen County. I live down in Morris County now, just to be a little closer to my family. So
she wanted to move further away from me. My energy was too much for her, and now
it was hard. When I got divorced, it was really, really, really tough decision, because my kids went to Amtree in Montvale.
Mm-hmm.
I have great friends in the Montvale and Park Ridge area that I still keep in touch with to this day. Our kids are still friends, but I needed to be closer to my family. I needed more of a village than what being.
We're gonna pull a magnet though, because we want you back. So we're just gonna put a force on to bring you back up here.
To be honest, I never thought it was never a goal of mine to be a business owner. I was gonna I'll go work for someone else, 20 hours a week, part time, be here with my kids. Great, and it wasn't enough. And I wanted to do things differently. I wanted to build a practice. And I know this sounds corny and cliche, but I wanted to build a practice that did it right. And I see that you kind of get it. Like your space is beautiful.
That's
Your
it.
team seems happy. I've worked for people where that's not the owners
Not
are
the
just trying
priority.
to make a buck.
Yep.
And I invest so much in our physical space, in our training, and just taking care of my team and taking care of our families that come in. Because if you can't do that, it's kind of like the preventative medicine piece. Like if you can't build an environment that your team and prospective patients want to be at, then like what the hell are we doing?
It's your culture.
What are we doing? Absolutely.
I spend now probably I've had a recent change in my life over the last year as well. Hence,
Well,
that gave
tell
me the
us
time
about
over
this.
here, right? So I'm going through currently a work divorce after 20 years.
Kind of love that.
20 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, my partner was partners of 20 years. It didn't go well. And it was a different vibe. Like, so we got this vibe because I had this idea and we created core values here a long time ago. And out of our 5 core values, I wanted my first one to be the first 3 because that's how important I thought it was. And it was wow. Just the wow experience.
Yeah.
And the wow experience for some starts the second they walk in the door. That might have been you. Some people, the second you're on the phone, you're calling up or on the internet, wherever it may be. But it's not just a wow experience for all of my patients because that is absolutely important, but also for my employees and anybody else who comes here.
Yeah.
Like,
It's huge.
we have an office in Closter. It is right in between the Whole Foods and the Target in Closter Plaza over there. And so we get a lot of walk-in traffic. And some people are a little confused. They walk in our door. Maybe they think we're a dry cleaner. And they were like, oh, I'm sorry. We thought you were a dry cleaner. And I'm like, oh, well, come on over here. Let's find you a dry cleaner. Yeah, I get it. My staff is super busy. The offices are super busy. But helping people, the wow is super important. Number 2 is we expect results. And the reason why we expect results is because we're not doing it the same as most everybody else, right? Insurance companies have really taken over the world. And I know it's a pretty sensitive topic right now. But as a result, people are doing what the insurance company is going to approve and going to reimburse. However,
might not be in their best interest.
Is it? Are people getting healthier? Are people getting better doing it that way? No, my personal opinion, because I don't want to get shut down here. My personal opinion is if that worked, we'd all be getting healthier. We'd all be getting better. My office gets results. And I think that passion, that's what you're talking about. You're different. You're doing it differently because I believe you're doing it the way, I guess we could say, the way you're supposed to do it.
Differently and responsibly, I think. I in theory, wouldn't it be nice if there was a world where insurance companies could really help? We're patient-centered, but that's a problem is that they're not. So then you have practices like yours and mine that when you make it more patient-centered and patient-focused and staff-focused too.
You have to.
When you care about the people that are walking in the door, whether to work or get worked on, that is what makes the difference. And that allows the owners and the practitioners to make decisions that are in the best interest of the patient and not like, oh, okay, the insurance company only approved 6 hours for me to do this evaluation. But the reality of it is that I need 10 or 12 based on the complexities of it. Well, how do I connect?
How do you connect that? What do you do?
I don't take insurance. Because the fact of the matter is that a lot of my colleagues who do, if there's a suspected, let's say there's a suspected ADHD diagnosis coming in for an evaluation, but as you're doing the intake, it's like, you know what, this kid actually might be autistic as well. And we get that a lot. That's actually what pushed our practice to get training on autism because we're getting these what we call these differential diagnoses coming in, and we need to rule out and rule in other things. And are there 2 things going on? Is it just one? So I was like, all right, we need to go get training and we need to get a lot of it. So we went and did that. But the insurance companies they're like, oh, you're doing this more complex thing. We're going to give you more hours. It says, no, we're not. So I know there are some practices who they're like, well, if the question's ADHD, we're just going to assess ADHD. But the problem is that then you're generating a report that says it might be ADHD,
but it can also be a million different things.
We didn't do the testing, so we're not going to. So for us, it's really about educating people when they call about what they are going to get from us. For us, it's delivering. We want to tell your story. We want to tell the complete story. I don't want to tell the incomplete story. Now, with that being said, if we're working with a patient and their family when they come in, and then it's like, well, there's actually this other secondary issue that you couldn't quite put your finger on, but I think we did, and we need to flush this out. We do ask patients, like, do you want us to do this or not? If you do, then we're going to be able to deliver a complete comprehensive report. If not, I'm, again, like do no harm. I'm not going to do something you don't want, but you need to understand
You need to know
that this is what's going to end up happening. I don't think we've ever had someone say no, but it's really about holding people's hand through a very what seems intimidating and scary process, especially if it's your child who's having
100%.
issues. We want as a parent to feel comfortable and empowered and informed with the decisions that they're making, and leaving with a quality report that has legs, that is a roadmap that tells them how they can best not just take care of their child, but improve, the family situation at home as well. Because if one person in that family system has, something going on and needs additional supports, it will impact the entire system in other ways as well.
Just the comfort that you get. Okay, this is a plan. This is what it is. We thought it might have been this. Mm-hmm. Now we've got confirmation and a plan. Mm-hmm. And it may be not what you want to hear, right? Yeah. Nobody wants to know that their child is sick or they're sick or whatever it is, and for lack of a better term. But the fact that there's a plan, and it's so crazy because we have completely different practices in psychology and physical medicine and chiropractic, physical therapy, occupational acupuncture. Same thing though. Yeah. Because you're going to benefit from this. This is what I recommend. Yeah. This is our treatment plan because this is what's going to get you. But this is the roadmap.
And a lot of the education that we do is, these conditions that we are talking about are lifelong. These are neurodevelopmental. They are with you till the day you die. So for a parent to sometimes really wrap their head around that their child has ADHD, that their child has autism, can be incredibly overwhelming. And sometimes they are not ready to necessarily hear that. So our job is to kind of bridge that gap and educate, comfort, provide support, provide education, and empower people to not just begrudgingly accept a diagnosis, because there's this whole push and this kind of embracing the idea of neuroaffirming care and neurodiversity, and that it's not that autism is a problem. It's just a different way of seeing and processing and interpreting the world. Same with ADHD. And I fall, more in that camp than not. I'm not looking to stigmatize or pathologize anyone. Yeah, with that being said, I also recognize I have ADHD. I wouldn't call it a superpower for me. Like, my apartment is trash this morning because it's a busy time of year as a parent. As a psychologist, I did a lot of fun Christmas stuff with my kids this weekend. And like, my organization skills are like, so, 0 out of 10 from a superpower standpoint.
Right.
And parents that come in, they're like, this isn't a superpower. This isn't a celebration of a different way of thinking. Like, this is a problem. It's causing chaos at home and at school. So I think, what our practice is a really good job of is, destigmatizing, these diagnoses and making people, feel and give them the education, help them understand that, like, what's going on is not, it's life changing, but it's not a death sentence.
No, absolutely.
And here's how we can help you maximize your functioning and quality of life. Here's the roadmap. Let's work on it together.
You've hit so many amazing points. Like, it's unreal. I'm like, I'm going to put my seat down further just so I can see it. But like, the fact is, think about what you said, the superpower. And I love that, because more than likely in the 70s and 80s, I would have been diagnosed with everything that was on there, any 3-letter or 4-letter thing and everything like that. And what I find is that most of my friends, my most successful friends, have these types of traits. Yeah. ADD, ADHD, OCD, perfectionism, this type of thing, where nowadays it's like, it's a problem. Some of this is a superpower. So you may not be neat and organized, but you're capable of handling so many tasks.
I think one of the things that a lot of times we see with people that are kind of more higher performing, that might kind of fall into that personality and those diagnostic categories, is that they just keep doing. They keep doing. Nothing changes if nothing changes. But with that being said, there are also plenty of people that kind of might be in that category that also have anxiety, and the what ifs of the worry of the future might sometimes, and the perfectionism, right? So, because perfectionism actually could be paralyzing. It's not like I have to do all these things to do it perfect. It's, oh my goodness, if I'm not perfect, it's a problem. So I'm actually just not even going to start. I'm going to do nothing, because if I do nothing, at least I can't fail. That can be just as much, if not more, of a problem, because then you're standing still, or you're spinning in place and you're not making progress. So depending on, and that's what we take the time to really tease out, because like I've said on, other podcasts I've done, I can put 10 people in front of me with ADHD. I can put 10 people in front of me with generalized anxiety, and There are going to be certain parts of their diagnoses that are going to look the same, but there's going to be different flavors for every single one. My job, our team's job, is to understand what that looks like and help, make a specific roadway for
each
them
individual
to move forward. Correct.
That's amazing.
It's good
Yeah.
stuff.
I mean, I'm just listening to you. I'm like, I feel like this is a therapy session right now. So I apologize.
Not the first time I've heard that, but that's okay. But that's
I go through this perfectionism. I did this. Like, I just put this out there. It doesn't matter. What happens if it doesn't go right? Well, I don't know. I make a right turn or a left turn. We pivot.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, like how do you get successful? It's like, there was never a failure for me. You said people were like fear of failure.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when it went wrong, I just put my right foot in front of my left, my left foot in front of my right foot on the left, and just keep on going.
If it were
keep on going.
I wouldn't have a job.
I'm
and
sorry.
I would love that. I would love to put me out of work. Please.
Well, that's what I said. If everybody would just sit up straight and exercise and everything like that, I'd be out of a job. That's not reality, of course.
It's difficult. And you and I were talking before the podcast started too. Like, one of the huge things that I do, and I believe, is I work out and I lift very heavy weights.
Heavy. Hold on. Wait.
Heavy.
Where is it? Where does it
it's
say
somewhere.
that?
I think it was one of the last ones on there. Like, I lift heavy.
Well, heavier the better. I love the heavier the better. I love it.
Yes.
But you weren't into this your whole life.
No, I've always been an athlete though, but I was doing much more cardio, running, Peloton, all of that. And then my knees and my hips started to wear down. I've always done yoga. I still do yoga. I very much so believe in yoga. That's a lot of my cross training. But about, almost 2 years ago now, two of my very good friends have always lifted, and they're like, you need to start lifting. And I'm like, shut up. I'm like, cardio.
Can I qualify girls, boys, or doesn't matter?
One girl, one boy.
Okay, here we go.
Both friends, very good friends of mine from high school. And I realized I needed to make a change because they weren't wrong. Like, I was in shape, but I was too thin. I did not have muscle mass. And again, you know the science, you read the literature, muscle mass is huge as far as, preventing injury, bone strength, bone density, and
potential future disability.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, but I also know for me, again, as a single parent, as a business owner, and what my level of accountability is that I need to have a trainer. I have joined gyms. I have joined good gyms. I have joined not good gyms. I don't want to say I'll quit on myself, but if I'm too overwhelmed, I will put others' priorities ahead of mine. And I cannot do that anymore because I can't be the person that I want to be for my practice, for my family, especially. So I make it a financial priority. I have
you recognize
trainer. I work out 3 times a week.
That's it. You recognize your kryptonite and you fixed it.
And I fixed it.
You did something to do that. And
I fixed it. And my body has transformed. A lot of my habits have transformed or are transforming, especially around nutrition, because I cannot lift how I want to if I'm not eating and putting the fuel into my body. I mean, I'm on track to deadlift 200.
Girl.
I was at 165, but then I
kicked my butt.
Then I got sick and I backtracked a little bit, but
that'll come back. There's a lot of muscle memory.
It's already coming back. So
I know you're not going to believe this, but we only have like 2 or 3 minutes left, and so I need to get. If anybody wants a part 2, like I do, and like a part 6, I'm in. But we want to talk about what you guys need in your practice. So what it is it? Let's try that again. What is it that you guys need or want? What are you trying to look to accomplish, and how can we help here?
We just want to get the word out about the importance of good psychological care, whether that's in the context of therapy or especially in the context of assessment. And people think that therapists like, oh, I'm going to come and lay on a couch and like talk about my mommy and daddy. Like, that might be a small part of it, but a lot of what we do as trained, qualified behavior therapists and almost play therapists is we do focus on the here and now and come up with tangible, specific, and actionable change that can be implemented immediately. And we also help with the how do we help build consistency? Because that's the huge thing. I can give you all the treatment plans in the world, but we are still there to help with the consistency and kind of executing these things at home.
You're fixing their kryptonite.
Essentially, yeah. Right? But also the huge part of the assessment piece is that we're helping to identify it. We get calls like, I have no idea what's going on. Like, my kid's gotten kicked out of 2 daycares, or they're having behavior issues and we don't know why. Like, a behavior issue can be dyslexia.
Yep.
We have so many kids that are like diagnosed, they must have ADHD. Well, actually, no, he can't
read.
Can't
read.
read. So I can't read. Of course, it's going to look like inattention because like I can't read.
I'm done with this. I'm not dealing with this.
So we really like with a fine tooth comb, like get into it. We answer questions and we we give you the roadmap to help you, and we're along on that journey to really change lives.
You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
I'm really proud of you. I just met her like 4 seconds ago, but I am so unbelievably proud of you because we need it.
This is the great thing about what you're doing is allowing me as kind of representing Elements to get the word out about these services that are here in our community. Like, we're right here. Come see us.
Right up the street from Wegmans, across from Memorial Sloan Kettering. It doesn't get much easier than that.
It really doesn't. It doesn't.
Well, I feel like I want you to come back.
Please, I'm right down the road.
I mean, I'm offering everybody who's cool like this to co-host. So one of these days are going to take me up on it. That's for sure.
I will. So, let me know.
Dr. Jessica McCarthy, Elements Psychological Services, Montvale, New Jersey. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to plug the next guy because I love saying his name. Anthony Rizzo. Again, not the first baseman for the New York Yankees, but Anthony Rizzo. He's going to be here this Wednesday evening, throwing a little curveball, everybody. Put a Monday sesh in, throwing a Wednesday evening in, 5 p.m. on Wednesday, December 11th. He is from the Pascack Valley City Lifestyle magazine.
I'm like Anthony Rizzo. I know Anthony.
You know Anthony. Everybody knows Anthony. You guys have all seen this magazine. This thing is growing like crazy. It is such a high quality magazine. So we're excited to have him on.
I said we advertise in his magazine too. He's amazing.
How could you not? So
actually, and both the Northern Highlands one and the Pascack Valley one. I'm like, Anthony. I'm like, I know. First I was thinking the Yankees thing. I'm like, is this the Anthony that I know? I'm like trying to read your notes. I'm like,
you can read my notes. These are open. Sometimes I get these on film. Ladies and gentlemen, again, Dr. Jessica McCarthy. Thank you so much.
Thank
Come
you for
back.
having me. Thank you.
We're gonna be hanging out. We just became new friends.
We're besties.
All right. Bye, guys.
Take care.